All right. Welcome to the Big East Blackout. Tonight I have a very special guest, a young woman who needs no introduction. Her name is Antionette, the boss. She's an author. She's a legendary MC. And I'm glad to have her here tonight as a guest. Thanks for coming on tonight, Antionette.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while. I want to thank my guy Yogi for arranging this for me. I really appreciate it. I kind of want to talk about a couple of different things tonight. Your career, your book, which I really enjoyed as well. Your book, All That Glitters, All That Glitters from Attitude to Gratitude. And I actually went over it again a couple of weeks ago because I read it in full. And I said I want to go back through it and everything. It was a very good read. I think I found out about it because I saw an article about it somewhere back when it came out. And that's what made me first go get it.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of start from the beginning with you, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I like to do that. Now, your family, as you said in the book, is from St. Thomas and St. John, Virgin Islands.
That's correct.
But you were always here. You never were there, right? Correct?
Right. I was always here. My great-grandmother raised me and my sister.
Okay. And you're from the Bronx, correct?
I'm from the Bronx. I was born in Harlem, and I came to the Bronx when I was 2, so I'm from the Bronx.
Okay. What part of the Bronx?
Actually, White Plains Road, 228th Street.
Okay. My wife is from Harlem. Vernon. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, my wife is from Harlem, and I have family in the Fordham, not the Fordham section. I'm sorry, Soundview section of the Bronx.
Oh, okay, that's the side.
Okay. So that's where you're from. And now in the book, I know how your upbringing and things like that. And I'm not going to go into the book as much as detail for detail because we want people to still go out and get the book, right? Still go out and read it. So let's kind of jump into when you were first exposed to hip hop. Do you remember who the first person was that really kind of made you go, ooh, and then who made you also say, I want to do that? Was it a female? Was it a male?
Well, to be 100% honest, it was my father.
Really?
Yes. So when I was younger, I loved music and I would write poetry all the time. And he started doing when that Double Dutch Bus came out.
Oh man, I remember that.
All right. He and Boogie Oogie Oogie. Right? Yeah. Remember that song? So
yep, absolutely.
He had this thing where he would play Boogie Oogie Oogie and he would rap to it. And that's what really, truly, inspired me. So, and I remember his rhyme. Okay. So he would have that get down, Boogie Oogie Oogie. He was like, I'm your number one disco man. I got records that's hip. Make you want to do a flip. Setting you on a psychedelic trip. Jam with the Boogie Oogie man. And I mean, it was just something about it, right?
And you remember that type of stuff, of course.
I remember everything. It's like born September the 13th. Virgo I am, and I show am me. Slick, fine, show is fly. A Virgo is one of them intelligent guys. I said, Virgo doing it, y'all. And so just hearing that, it was a lot of fun. We had fun together. And so it was inspiring, not to mention that I loved writing. So I used to write a lot of poetry from a child. I was always writing something. And then I was like, I can actually take my lyrics and put it to music. So now when I talk about the hip hop inspiration also, right? So aside from him growing up that way, it was really listening to Sequence 3, right? That was Angie Stone.
Right.
Blondie B. So my cousin, and we were related, but she's no longer here with us. That's why I said were, but we are related. Sylvia Robinson, Sugar Hill Records, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So Lady Luck is my cousin.
Nice. I love Lady Luck.
Right. So we're cousins. And so listening to that record made me really want to rap even more because it was females, first of all, because you heard a lot of guys. You had the Funky 4 plus one more. So Shot Rock was out there. I listened to her, coming up as well. But it was them because it was just all females.
Okay. I see what you mean. So you're hearing these people and you're getting inspiration. And let me also ask you, because I know you said Sylvia Robinson. Were you close to her?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't close. I didn't meet her until I was older.
Okay.
And that's when I found out that we were actually cousins. So I didn't know. But her sons, Leland and Scutchy, We stayed in contact for a little while, but when you don't really grow up together, it's kind of hard.
Right.
When you don't have time to build that bond. Like you build bonds when you're younger. Right. And then you kind of have things to talk about. Did you see what happened over here? You go to a family function. But when you're so far apart, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
But we are family at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And for example, if you're with them as a youth, as you said, that's something that's been built for a long time. And even if you don't talk to them as adults as much, that bond is still there because it was built already. So yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. The reason I had asked that about Sylvia Robinson, if you were close to her or were around them at all, I was wondering if maybe you had seen any of these other rappers coming up, because a lot of people would always say, being in New York City, especially during the time like when videos came out, which is a little bit later, you would see people in a video and then turn around and see them at your local bodega coming out of the store or something for your neighborhood. So did you grow up around anybody, or were you around anyone who was had records out?
So what happened with me was the first rappers I actually saw in person was the Fat Boys.
Nice. Okay.
Well, Run DMC was my first concert.
Okay.
But the Fat Boys were like live on stage in like the park. How you go to a jam in the park,
and
they had built like a little platform, and they was there. And at that time, that's when Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde was out.
Oh wow! Rest in peace to Andre Harrell, right?
Because my mother lived across the street from Skate Fever in the Bronx at the time, and up the hill was the Treacherous Three. You had Kool Moe Dee and them. They lived up the block.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I was around it, but I didn't know them. I was young. They weren't thinking about me.
Right.
So,
you saw them, but yeah.
I saw them, but I didn't really matter to them at that time. But
you always matter. They just didn't know you mattered.
Right. I guess you're right, but no, they didn't look at me twice. It was like, okay, little girl, Right,
exactly. So you see them, the Fat Boys. Wow, that's crazy, the Fat Boys. And now you said your first concert was Run DMC. Was that Fresh Fest?
No, it was at the Beacon Theater, actually.
Oh, okay. I think my first concert was a Fresh Fest. I think it was like UTFO or Run DMC, all those guys.
Okay.
Fat Boys, Houdini, one of those breakdancing crews. I don't know if it was New York City Breakers or somebody, just there's a bunch of stuff, and it was awesome,
Well, my concert, it was that young lady, Shannon, I think her name was.
She was on our Fresh Fest. Yeah, Give Me the Night, Shannon. Yeah, she was there too. Yep.
And Run DMC opened for her.
Yes, they had her on a couple of Fresh Fest. Wow. Yeah, Shannon. Yeah, she's still doing it too. Okay. She's still doing her thing. Actually, I just saw something on her recently. I think she's up there. She looks great though. I mean, she's really into the gym fitness and stuff, and she's still doing a lot of those concerts with like her and Lisa and the different freestyle groups and everything. So yeah. So you did the poetry, you're seeing these artists. That is an inspiration where this is actually my first time ever hearing somebody whose father wasn't, whose parent wasn't already in the business or something as a rapper. A legendary rapper say it was their parent that was the inspiration. And that's kind of dope right there. So you going from that, when did you finally get the itch? Like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm really going to try to do this. How did
I
you
did
get
that
to
from elementary school.
Okay.
So, I remember, I'm not going to say my first rhyme, but
if you know it, you can. If you don't want to,
it was one of those little things like, from back in the days, like this guy came up to me, he looked like Donald Duck. He had real big lips and little beady eyes. And if I look like him, I'm running high. I'm not saying I'm cute, not saying I'm fly, but if you challenge me, I went by a landslide. It was like one of those things.
Ooh,
and that was, way back when. And we used to do like a little battles in the street and stuff like that. But when I really started getting into it more like professionally, so I always enjoyed it. I had a love for hip hop. And like a lot of kids growing up in the Bronx, in Queens, just in New York City, period, we were like hip hop fans and hip hop fanatics. A lot of my friends, at least.
Right.
So honestly speaking, it was like, now I can actually come into my own and step into my own. So I started with a group, the Feminine Force. So it was myself and two other female rappers. Well, let me take a step back. Before that happened, I became Annie C. Everybody had like the names Dizzy D and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa Lee and all of them. And so I was Annie C.
Okay.
Right. And I had the sweatshirt, the red sweatshirt with the white iron-on letters.
Oh, nice.
The name belts, you know, and stuff. And you
Right.
walk around, right? So everybody was rocking gazelles and all this other stuff. So I started doing that, and I had a friend, and she had a shirt that said Dizzy D, but we really didn't do much of anything, right? And that's like I said, I was in the neighborhood. Then from there, went to a group called the Feminine Force. It was myself, another girl named Antionette, and a girl named Sharon, and Sharon did the beatbox. We were in high school then.
Okay.
But Sharon moved to Staten Island. We started working with Dr. Rock.
From the Force MDs.
From the Force MDs. So we started working with him a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was so much of a like to get out to Staten Island. It was just too much for me.
How long would that take for you guys? Like from the Bronx?
From the Bronx, I would say we was like traveling for like 2 hours or so.
Ooh.
Because by the time you get to the ferry and then you have to go over and then come back, you know, when it's late in the evening, as young ladies, it was just too much. So for me, we really couldn't do that. And, you know, so we kind of fell apart with Sharon. Sharon kind of, you know, drifted off from the group, and it was just myself and the other Antionette.
Okay.
Well, then we got into it a little bit, and I decided I'm gonna do this by myself.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was in high school, and I remember I went in math class, and there was a guy sitting down at the desk, and he, you know, the pencil tapping on the table, just tapping, and he's saying something, and I'm looking at him, and I said, "You rap?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I said, "I do too," and he's like, "Yeah, right," because people had this thing where back then everybody said, "You don't look like a rapper." I didn't know what a rapper was supposed to look like.
Right.
And so it was almost like, "You don't look like a rapper." And I said, I can rhyme. And he said, "All right." He said, "I want you to write something and come back tomorrow, you know, and let me hear it." And that's what I did. I went home, I wrote something, I came back. He's like, "Oh, you could rap," you know, like that there.
He knew. He knew at that point, right?
Yeah. But Fat Doug, he played an intricate part in me getting my record deal. Okay. So working with Fat Doug, I remember, because at that time when we first met, I was still with the other Antionette. And then I told him, I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "That's it. I'm going solo. I'm doing this by myself." I was like, "I can't deal with her because she has an attitude." And he said, "You don't." And that's where I got an attitude. Because I had to realize, and I had to look in the mirror, because I had an attitude too.
Yeah.
And it was like, "Well, you have an attitude also." And that was the birth of I Got an Attitude. So then we actually made the demo, and we were shopping it. And that's when he took me to the guy, Jay Ellis, who became my manager. And Jay Ellis had a relationship with Eddie O'Loughlin. And when they took it over there and he was playing it, Herbie was in the other room, and Herbie heard it. And he said that he wanted me to be on his album. So I actually signed a deal in September, and I was the first record to drop in November. In 2 months, I was out.
Oh, wow. So how did, at that point right there, okay, you get a record deal. I'm sure that had to be kind of mind-boggling how fast it happened, right?
But it was mind-boggling how fast it happened. And I was young, and I just had a passion for hip-hop, but I wasn't really prepared for the music industry, right? I didn't know the business aspect of it.
Right.
I just knew, like a lot of us did back then, this is what I like to do, and this is what I want to do. And I signed a contract that was garbage.
That's the story that you hear all the time, right?
Right, gave away a lot. You know, my publishing, everything was gone.
Now, when that deal got signed, I do remember this in the book, and like I said, some people haven't seen the book. You know, All the Glitters, from Attitude to Gratitude by Antoinette Banks, right? Is what it's under.
That's correct.
Okay. For those out there who haven't read it, go check it out. It's still out there. You can even read it through Kindle. It's out there. It's there. Amazon, Kindle, anything you need. The book is there. You can go find it. I did see that happened with you with the publishing. You know, that's a story that you hear all the time, where people are like, you know, the word music is this big and the word business is this big, right? You hear about people losing their publishing. When you sign the deals, I take it Fat Doug. Now, why does that name sound familiar to me? Was he a producer with other stuff too?
Yes,
he did other things, correct?
He was actually signed with Uptown Records.
That's why I know, because he did the remix for Jodeci.
Yes, he did.
Yes, okay, the remix, I think, of Come and Talk.
He rapped on it?
Yep, I rapped on it. Okay, I'm like, I know that name. All right, so that is him. All right. So when he took you over and kind of got you into the record deal, he wasn't really there to guide you anymore after that, right? Once you got the manager?
What happened was I was tricked into signing.
Oh, wow.
I went down to he took me to the manager's office,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about signing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day we were supposed to meet at the manager's office.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I was given a contract to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 18 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I said, but don't I need a lawyer? Like, read this? And I was told he had a friend there. He said, oh, you know, you can talk to this guy, Gus, I think his name was. You know, he's just like an attorney. He can explain stuff to you.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy's walking me through the contract, but he's telling me, you know, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, he said Doug was on his way to sign also. So I said, well, I can wait for Doug. No, he's on his way. You can sign. And when Doug gets here, he'll sign. And I signed. So that's how he got me. And when Doug was pissed.
Okay, that was going to be my
Doug
next
did not
question.
sign. He was pissed. And so he hung around for a while. And then he kind of branched off after that.
Right. He just kind of got up
too much for him. So he stayed with me. And then, you know, I got an attitude with Herbie and stuff. And then, of course, my manager / publishing company and everything, he hooked me up with IG Off and Yogi and stuff. And that's how I met Yogi also, because Yogi was signing Jay Ellis also. It was Yogi and Tim Scratch. It was IG Off, and it was me.
Oh, wow.
And even Sharice, she was there too. The one from Changing Faces, that was his goddaughter.
Oh, wow.
Sharice
Okay.
Rose. So she was there as well with us.
That's crazy.
So she's actually she's in my video, Who's the Boss? When I walk up to the girl and she goes down on her knee, that's Sharice.
I'm gonna have to look at that. Yeah, because I definitely Changing Faces. Wow.
Yeah. I love her voice.
Now, is she the one that's still in the group, or is she the one that left?
She's the one that's still in the group.
The one that's still in the group. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, you know, I'm hearing that there, and I'm hearing you talk about the publishing. Have you ever? I know a lot of people are doing it now. Have you ever looked into trying to get your publishing back in any way? Or I know there are some people that are looking into it.
And I was told this, and I haven't looked into it. After a certain number of years,
25.
You can get your masters back.
And 25.
Yes. But we can't find my masters. I don't know who has them. I have no idea who has my masters.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's crazy right there. I'm sorry to hear that. You know, you hear the stories and you hear people talk about it.
Because wasn't Salt and Pepper having an issue?
They were having an issue too, and they pulled all their music.
Plateau, when they went out of business and they sold stuff off. So you don't know where things are.
Yeah, they sold off foreign markets, different things. You know, some companies did. I'm not saying they in particular, but a lot of companies you'll see these reissues of these old labels that don't exist anymore, and it's usually from some other country. And it's like, oh, well, these guys probably sold things off or what have you. I know they had all their songs pulled off of streaming while they're going back and forth with their masters thing. It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's a good segue. There's Herbie. There's Salt and Pepper. You know, there's Kid and Play. Were you ever actually part of that crew, or were you just produced by Herbie and on Next Plateau? Because I mean, I know Kid and Play wasn't on Next Plateau.
I was produced by Herbie, but I was on Herbie's machine. So I would be at the Bayside studio. You know, I met Salt and Pepper, of course. We took pictures together. There's a picture with all of Herbie's artists. And so I was in that picture, but I wasn't from Queens, and I wasn't really, I mean, they had a history. Like when I watched their documentary, they worked together at a place. You know what I mean? It was different. It's a different dynamic. I met him in the industry through music. So in August, Herbie, myself, Kid and Play, but only Play was there. Dana Dane, Kwame, we were all inducted into the National Hip Hop Museum in DC.
Right. A good friend of mine was there. He said he met you.
Okay.
My man, DJ Dial Tone. He was actually going to be here tonight, but he's with a production team called Team Demo. And he said that he actually met you. He said, D, oh man, I'm at Antionette. Because you don't understand. And I mean,
she was there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look, we can keep it real here. You know, there was lots of different females. Everybody liked the real Roxanne. Everybody like all this stuff. But for guys here, like in Buffalo, I know us, we liked you and Sweet Tea. Like, you know, you talk about, like, you know, people have the posters on the wall, or like the ones that are, who's the cute girl? It was Antionette and Sweet Tea. I'm sorry. It was you two. It was y'all two. It was like, oh, the boss, Antionette. And then, you know, everybody's like the female Rakim. You hear that different stuff. Now, the female Rakim. Now, when you came out, there obviously have been female MCs, and all of them held their own, like a rap, and do their different things. You were a little more rugged with it. Okay. Of course, at the same time, we know MC Lyte, is out there, and she's rugged with it. It was interesting that you said in the book that I guess you didn't even know her really, right?
I didn't know her. No, not
At all.
Had never met her.
Had never met her. And that always bothered me because I mean there were just different things being said, in the songs and stuff. And I'm like, come on, that's terrible. But everybody's like, yo, Antionette is dope though. And I think even though it was both of them at that time, independent labels, it didn't matter if they were independent, hip hop was going to be found. I think maybe whatever machine she had behind her, maybe with audio too and everything else, and what you had behind you, you would have been just as popular.
Yeah, I think that it was like they had like a family thing going on,
right?
Priority,
yeah,
right. And they were able to do certain things that I was not allowed to do. So
right.
with me, one thing, and when I told you, people would look at me and say, "You don't look like a rapper," right? Mm-hmm. Because I didn't look like a guy. I was rough but feminine, and they didn't. People didn't understand it. They didn't even know how to market me. They didn't know what to do with me, right? So they were trying to turn me into a solo Salt and Pepper. That wasn't my avenue.
Right.
It wasn't who I was. So when you listen to my first album and then you hear my second album, you understand the direction they were trying to throw me in.
Right.
Right. Instead of allowing me to just be myself.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's I needed to stick to that. People embrace me with I got an attitude. Yes, people embrace me with who's the boss. People embrace me with hit them with this. Right. It was because that was who I am. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you throw me throw a curveball into it. And here I come with Baby Make It Boom. Like, are you serious? And so for me, that coupled with the fact that I'm not really making money anyway off of my stuff, only from shows. Mm-hmm. And then my manager wouldn't even let me do shows for a while.
Did he say why? I mean, what the reason was?
He kept me. This was the problem. At that time, he didn't do anything with artist development. I'm a young girl. I'm 18 years old. I just know that I like to rap. Right. Mm-hmm. So there were no rehearsals. It wasn't like he was preparing me for something, but he was holding me back. And I think he was holding me back for people to want to see me. Mm-hmm. But then if that's the case, when they do see me, you want to give them something to see. Am I right? It's like, true. You understand. So that's artist development.
Mm-hmm. A&R.
Right. So he didn't do that at all. Mm-hmm. But he held me back for a period of time. And it really wasn't good because that's why it took so long for a response to MC Lyte. Like, and I said, when you're in the street, it's tit for tat. You come at me, I hit you back. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I'm used to doing stuff live and in person, not on a record.
Right.
So that was hard too. And then finally, when we spoke, 30 years before me and her spoke, 30. Mm-hmm. Okay. We realized she thought the whole time, the audio 2 told her. Okay. She told me that they had met with Herbie. And you know how they did like the Roxanne and UTFO thing? They wanted somebody to respond to the audio 2 top billing. Mm-hmm. And Herbie had said yes. And then they didn't hear from him again. And next thing they know, they heard I got an attitude. Mm. And so they automatically assumed that I was talking about them, which didn't make sense when you listen to my lyrics. That's number one. Right. Had nothing to do with them. Right. Right. And they told her, oh, he put a girl on us. You got to answer her. You got to answer her. She said they went into the studio and they wrote that and boom. And she said so it was just males pegging females against each other.
That's crazy. I've never heard that before. And the
whole time she did not know that I got an attitude was not about them. She thought I said something about them. I said, I've never said anything about them in those lyrics. And she was like, oh my God.
That's 30 crazy. Years. It took 30 years. Yeah. Because it was some very disrespectful stuff being said.
Well, it was disrespectful. Absolutely. Yes. It didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the point where, I was a teenage mom and she's talking about my daughter.
Right.
And I'm like, who does that?
Yeah, that was ugly. I didn't like that.
And it was very hurtful for me because I say oftentimes people judge you when you come into a room because they see you, but they don't know what it took for you to get there. Mm-hmm. They don't know your struggle. They don't know your pain. And it's like, I felt like from the time I was a little girl, I was fighting my whole life. And I come here and you just attacking me for no reason. And a lot of people felt like I was attacking her because of that delay in my response. Mm-hmm. So when Who's the Boss album came out and they heard Lights Out Parties Over, it's like, why she's attacking Lyte? Nobody's realizing that she came at me for no reason. And she even talking about my child.
And yeah, I mean, talked about your child, said you were sniffing blow, all sorts of just terrible things.
And I never did drugs ever. Okay, so
you're like, what the hell is that? You know, what is this coming from, right?
Right. So absolutely. You know, that's the whole thing. And like I said, you said the machine behind her allowed that, and they pushed and promoted her. They got her to different venues. They weren't holding her back while I was being held back, right? So that's what really happened. And so it just got to the point with me when I was getting jerked and I had a child already. I decided, I said, you know, I'll just go get an education and I'll make money that way. Because what I'm not going to do is allow them to make money off of me, because I didn't have the knowledge to know that I could have sued. I could have potentially got out the contract and stayed in music, which was my passion. But at that time, I felt that I was in an industry that I loved that didn't love me back.
And that's you know what, one of my notes I actually had about you, I took some notes, was you said that another good segue. You said the industry didn't love you back. Love is a big thing in your book, and it seems as if you loved very hard. Okay,
right.
And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that whatsoever. I mean, if you love something, you should love hard, right? And you hope that they love you back hard, right? I mean, that's hopefully the way it should be. That's how it should be. I'm just looking at my note here because of my screen that closed here. You said that you, in the note to your 15-year-old self, which was pretty deep too. I love that in the book. You did like a letter to yourself back as a teen. And you mentioned that you desperately sought love, basically that you didn't have to always desperately seek it. And I think that was a vulnerable moment, I think, with you. And with, I think, a lot of us. I think you and I are right in the same probably age range. I think it sounds like, you know, I believe we are. We come from a time where we didn't have this internet. We didn't have all this different stuff, you know, whether it came as bullying, being, you know, prank phone calls, things like that, or at school, dealing with things that bother you, maybe not knowing who to talk to about it. And then having things maybe happen to you, male, female, whatever. And then maybe having someone go to someone that you feel you love and you trust, and then they betray you. And maybe not having the resources around for us to be able to deal with that. You and I both have come up in a time where we didn't necessarily have those resources.
Well, that's true.
And you are really a success story. You know what I mean? Reading that book, I mean, some other people might have been just totally just annihilated by that. Could have just fallen off drugs, whatever, anything, you know what I'm saying, mentally. And I'm not saying that maybe we didn't go through our anxiety or whatever you know, you may have gone through. But the fact that you're still standing here now, able to talk about it. And that book there, we're talking about, this came out, 2018, I believe?
Yes.
But the story is still, it's brand new to anybody who didn't read it, because it's not dated. It's just telling your story. I'm proud of you for what you've done. But I think just you going through that, I mean, you were bullied on a national level, like as far as the hip hop scene goes. I mean, everybody in the hip hop scene knew MC Lyte's talking about you, and you're being bullied. You got this going over here with them stealing your money on the other side. You got all these different things. So for you to finally say, you know what, I'm going to get my education. I'm going to go do it this way. Some people wouldn't have done that, man. Some people would have gave up. And I applaud you on that. I really do, Antionette. I applaud you. I think it's dope. I'm not just saying that because I don't know you. I mean, I kind of feel like I know you. We text each other. Hey, how you doing? Happy holidays, whatever. But you just, I mean, the fact that you persevered. I hate the fact that you didn't get the love that you needed from the industry, you know, because the people.
But I did when I came back. I have to tell you, when I wrote the book and I came back, that's when I realized what I actually meant to my peers, because I didn't feel that I mattered. When it was easy to walk away, because like I said, I felt I was in an industry that I loved that didn't love me back. I didn't think that people cared. And it had to be also because my management, he kept me away from everybody. Right. So I didn't have that interaction. But when I
Right.
came back, like the first place I went before they closed BB King's on 42nd Street,
Yeah.
Rakim was having his birthday celebration. That was the first event that I went to in 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Did he recognize you?
Yeah, I was so happy to see him. But when I went there, Busta Rhymes was there also. And Busta Rhymes had me talking in the corner for like 40 minutes.
Wow.
Okay.
He's a true fan. He's a true fan and historian of it. Yeah.
He told me that I inspired him. And he said, you don't know what you mean to hip hop. Right. And he's telling me how he had my picture on his wall. They talked about me in the lunchroom in school and so on and so forth. And that I inspired him.
He's not lying. I told you.
To me. You know, with Redman and Method Man, they did a show in Foxwood Casino. And I went there and it was on my birthday. You know, and Method Man pulls me out there and he's like, you know, and Rock Wallow, when I say I used to battle cruise back when Antionette had an attitude, he's like, this is Antionette. She's my favorite female rapper. And I'm like, huh? It hits different. Right now, you know. You had no idea, but now you know. I went to Don't Sweat the Technique tour with Yo-Yo and Rakim. And Rakim brought me out there and he's on the mic, orally potent, lethal but steady. You know, he's rapping my song. And so it meant a lot to me. And that's when I realized that I did mean something.
You did. You definitely did.
That I did leave a mark in hip hop. But honestly speaking, I kept going. I walked away and didn't turn back. And life happened. I mean, like you said, you read the book and it was like one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And I just felt like my whole life, I've been fighting my whole life, you know, and it's like, sometimes you just want to stop fighting. But at the end of the day, I know that everything that I've been through wasn't just for me, right? I'm a living testimony to anybody that's going through any of those situations, because I don't say that I imagine how you feel. I say I know exactly how you feel. Right?
Right.
But I'm still standing. I'm still here. So if I can do it, if I've done it, you can too. So my goal is to pull other people up, to encourage, to let them know their value. Because all the time that I was looking for love, the most important thing is to love yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you love yourself, that's when you say, I will not be anybody's doormat.
Right.
I will not allow people to treat me in a certain manner. Right? And you set your standards of what you will accept and what you will not.
That is true.
And it took me almost a lifetime to get there. So I try to talk to young people, especially now. I need you to get the message right now. I need you to understand. And what's interesting is when I first started promoting the book, you know, I'm thinking I'm a woman. So I'm standing here, you know, this is about women. And there was one man that interviewed me and he started crying. He started talking about some abuse and stuff that he went through. And it hits me then that I'm just a voice for people, male or female. We all go through things. And oftentimes men don't open up and say anything.
Sure don't. We really don't.
Right? But at the end of the day, I was an inspiration to him. Me telling my story allowed him the opportunity to finally release stuff that he's been holding for so long. And that meant a lot to me too. And that's why I say it's bigger than, I'm saying with me, for me, yes. You know, one of the first female solo artists back in the late 80s. Right? Definitely one of the first females compared to male artists, right?
True.
So I'm grateful for all of that. But I'm grateful just for the things that I've been through, because it's not what you go through, it's how. Right? So you can go through, but you have to grow through. So it's my growth that I'm most proud of.
I like that. You can go through, but you have to grow through.
Right.
I like that. I like that a lot.
You see opposition as an opportunity. Right? You see obstacles as things that you have to overcome. And I understand something, because sometimes, you know, how somebody says, oh, well, I'm just this in the meantime. And I say in the meantime, it's just that. It's a meantime. But remember one thing, it's an in-between time. It's temporary. It's not permanent. It doesn't come to stay, it comes to pass. And that's the whole thing. Everything in life happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you are being blessed in a situation, sometimes in the midst of it, it doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who find themselves struggling, especially single moms. I don't know how I'm going to take care of these kids. I don't know what I'm going to do, but every single day they're getting up and they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until they look around and the kids are like 12 and 13, and they were saying, how am I going to? And you were doing it every single day. And that's when I say your perspective is your reality.
Right.
I want people to understand that it's not going to be all right. It's already all right. You have to walk in it. Position yourself and align yourself with it being already all right.
Mm. Yeah, you're preaching right now. I love
I
it.
know. I can't help it. I can't help
I
it.
love it.
You know, I mean, because
No,
the
it's
whole thing
dope.
is this is what's important though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
it is. It is.
Because we
It
all go
absolutely
through
is.
things.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
And that's
You're
why
right.
I say do not judge someone because they showed up, because you don't know their story. Don't be jealous or envious of anyone. Because trust me, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to walk a mile in their shoes.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You know what, when you mentioned too about not being a doormat or letting somebody walk all over you, I wanted to also commend you on, in your book, you have a list of domestic violence state coalitions in
Yes.
that book, which was the first time I had seen that, and you literally did every state. And to have that there, I just want to commend you on that, because you don't really see
Thank
things
you.
like that. You had every state. So I was like, does she have every single state? And I went, I'm like, whoa, you had every state. And I think that's such an awesome resource to have for somebody. And people, male and female, because domestic violence can go both ways, you know.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I think that men probably don't say anything as much, you know, but regardless who it is, nobody should be getting the hands put on them, right?
Right.
And to have that resource there, I thought that was dope. I thought that was
Well,
really
thank you.
something, you know, because you went through some BS, you know, and that book, as I said to everyone who's looking at this, read that book, All That Glitters, From Attitude to Gratitude by Antoinette Banks. Excellent read. Might be triggering to some people on some things, but it's stories that you've heard before, but to see somebody actually like, yo, this happened to me and this happened, and it was just like doom, 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 doom. And as you said, it was in the meantime, it was a mean time. You got through it though, right?
Yes. And that's the main thing.
That you got through.
I got through it. And that's when I realized, I said, I'm not just going to do this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me to help others.
Yes, absolutely. And you can teach somebody else. As you said, speaking to these young girls, please continue to do that, because, you know, our young women, our young men too need it. But, you know, if your focus is on the young women right now, or whatever it is, then that's what it is right now. Talk to these young women. You know, I think a lot of them are settling for certain things in their life, going along with certain things in their life, like, hey, why not? When maybe they don't need to. They're not looking at other options. So
Correct.
We need people to say, hey, you know what? You can do that.
Social media does not help at all.
Right. You can do this, but this could happen. Let's show both sides of the coin here. All the glitters isn't gold. Yeah, the men too. That's what I'm saying. All the glitters.
Also, because I know, like, there's a young lady that I work with, and her son. I went to her house to talk to her son.
That's awesome, and you should.
And he's 15, and it was like he was doing a lot. He was doing too much.
Too much, right?
You know. And I had to talk to him.
And all the glitters.
He was grateful. He was grateful. I mean, he hugged me. He took my phone number. He texted me. You know.
That's great.
And so I said, you know, that's the main thing. Just being there for the young people. Mm-hmm. Because one thing I realized, I cannot re-raise a grown person, but I can inspire our youth.
You sure can.
Right? And sometimes what was missing is exposure. Mm-hmm. When you show someone what they could have, they aspire to that. Because I would go through neighborhoods and all I saw was defeated mindsets.
Right.
And when you defeat it in your own mind, it's already over.
Just give me an option. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes all they need is to see that there is something else. I know it sounds so cliche. Oh, there's something else out there, but it's true.
Right.
It's very true. With some of the, going back to as far as the music goes a little bit here, I see a lot of tours, different things. Have you ever thought about getting on any shows with some of these throwback shows? I mean, I'll see people like Dana Danes and the Special Eds and everybody going out there and still getting a little. Rob Bass is always out there. He's going to be on Rock the Bells cruise. Have you ever looked into maybe going out and doing any shows at all?
Not really, to be honest. At one point, I considered it, and I actually did some new songs and stuff, and I was working with DJ Scratch for a little while. Oh,
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So we had a couple of songs together, and then he started working with RZA, I think it was, because RZA released something new, and then Busta Rhymes came along, and then I was like pushed, and I was like, you know what? It's not for me. Because I walked away because I didn't like the way I was being handled.
And that kind of gave you vibes again, right?
And as an adult, like I told you, we choose what we will tolerate and what we will not.
Right.
I'm okay. The only reason I was doing it was so I can finish what I started for myself. Right. And then I realized that I am not going to go back into a situation where I feel like I'm being mistreated in any form or fashion, in a manner in which I am not going to tolerate. Because I'm just as important as anybody else.
You are.
Okay. And I'm not going to allow anyone to make me feel like I'm not.
Right.
And so, yes, I could have just released stuff and dropped stuff. And Yogi did something with me. And that song is really good. I still have it. It's called Something by the Queen. And we might just throw that out there.
You should. Why not?
But, something like that. But no, I decided, it's not for me. I haven't been out for 30 something years. Right. People remember me. I left my mark in hip hop, and I'm okay with what I left.
What you did. And you know what? When I heard you on the Crew album, on the Dirty 30 album, I was like, oh, wait, is that it? I was ready. I was like, yo, she coming back,
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. And
Tracy Lee.
Yeah, everybody was on there. Tracy Lee, Black Rob, everybody's on that album. Lots of people. Anthony Hamilton before he blew up. So many people on that album. And then when I heard you on that joint, I was like, wow. So... actually, that's what made me. I didn't know that there was a connection with you and Yogi when I was talking to him because we have a lot of mutual friends.
You didn't see him in Who's the Boss? And he has a cigar?
Yeah, but I didn't know that was him at that time. You know what I mean? It's a couple of years later, and my friend DJ Downtown, the one who met you at the thing, he's cool with Yogi. And I interviewed Yogi, and then he was, I mentioned something about you, and he was like, oh yeah, that's Sis right there. And I'm like, really? And I think he did mention your video and all that stuff, so it's all kind of comes full circle, right?
Yeah, it's true. It really does.
So no more music, or at least no more. You kind of moved on. If you don't mind me asking, without going into specific, what line of work do you do now? I mean, are you?
Oh, I'm an accountant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now I work at a utility company.
Okay.
And I manage financial reporting and tax accounting departments.
Look at you. So you're very important.
To them at least.
You're very important there.
To them at least.
No, that's good because you see so many different people and they're like, oh yeah, what does this person do? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm a veterinarian now. I ran into somebody there, a vet. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. And there's a musician who
there were so many stories out there about me. I think Wikipedia said I was a police officer, and I was like, never that.
I did hear that.
It was like different things. I was from Queens. Like, no, I'm not. But like I said, absent of having a voice and actually being out there, people just made up what they wanted, and everybody just ran with it. So I was like, okay.
I remember seeing that in a magazine one time. They were like, whatever happened to that? Word is she's a police officer in New York. And I'm like, wow, really? And that's, that is kind of, I do know a couple of artists who are police officers now, who, I'm not going to say their names, but they are. And I'm like, hey,
But with in my story now, like my path, right? With my education even, because an accountant was not something that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I did not say, I really want to be an accountant. I wanted to help people. from back then. And I had originally went to school for nursing. When I went to school for nursing, I said, I need to see nurses in action. So I became an EMT. And I was going in emergency rooms and nursing homes, and I was looking at what nurses actually did. And I was like, I do not want to be a nurse.
A little bit of shell shock there, right?
Yes, I changed my mind, but I decided to go pre-med. And then I went to City College in Manhattan, and I was in the Sophie Davis biomedical program. And that's when my life took a turn because of physical abuse. And I ran away with my 2 children, and I had to do a do-over with my life, and I couldn't go back to school because he was stalking me. And when I ended up and I even had to quit my job as an EMT. Then when I finally got back into the workforce, I fell into accounting. I got a job in accounting, and then they said, oh, you're very smart, help the controller. Then it was like, oh, he's going to retire in a couple of years. Maybe you can take his place. And I started thinking, I have to get a degree or something, because if not, I'll only be valuable here. Right. So I went back to school. And when I went back to school and I graduated, I was recruited by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And that's in PwC. And that was one of the big 4 accounting firms in the country. And so I was able to start there. And I started with them. And that's what opened the doors for me in accounting.
And again, I mean, as I said before, a success story, an awesome story that anybody could listen to because of everything that you went through. The background alone, us coming from the inner city, automatically you already got some things against you, right? Us being the color of our skin, we have the things against us.
Absolutely.
You going through the things you went through, having the children, the relationships that didn't go well. A lot of that would break people, and you just kept going through. And that says something about your strength. They say the strength of a woman is something else, right? And I think you are the epitome of that. It's definitely showing that.
Thank you.
It's definitely showing that, and I love to hear it. And I love to hear that you're doing well, and even more so. Before we wrap everything up, I just want to say I'm glad to see that you are okay with your decision to say, "Hey, I'm walking away. I'm done with it." Some people, there's still that regret, and they go, "Oh, I left too early." Right? No, you understood. You knew how you wanted to be treated, how you wanted to have things go, and you weren't doing it. You weren't going to let it go any other way. And some people, with the whole thing you just mentioned, doing some stuff with DJ Scratch, they still would have stuck around because they're like, "Oh, well, he's not here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do what I got to do." And you didn't do that. You said, "Nah, I'm sticking to my guns. I know what I want. I know my worth, or I know what nothing against him. I'm just saying,
right?
Hey,
definitely
I know
nothing against him. I love DJ Scratch.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just like I said, what happens is it's just in the industry.
Yeah.
When you have a paycheck and somebody's gonna pay you more money to do this, like he told me he was a fan. He really, wanted to do some stuff with me, and we started working. And then all of a sudden, this one pops out. They want this, they want that, and stuff. And then you kind of get pushed to the side a little bit, for that to happen. But I was like, you know what? Nah, it's okay.
Yeah. Do you have any friends in the industry, or that you are anybody that you're friends with in the industry still, or no?
No, not really. Because when I walked away, I really didn't keep in contact with a lot of people. Like Yogi, I'm still cool with. Fat Doug, that's like my brother. IG Off is my brother. So, I have those people that are very close to me that have always been. But as far as like out there, really, not really. Like Sharice and I, we met up a couple of years ago. And we went out and had dinner and stuff, and it was really, really nice. I love her too.
Yeah.
But as far as really being out there, mixing and mingling with people, no.
Interesting. Yeah, you always wonder, you see things like, you'd be like, "Oh man, these people used to be so close to high school. I wonder how they ended up not being cool anymore." As you get older, you realize how people just kind of, "Hey, I'm doing my thing over here," and it's nothing personal.
One person that I had hooked up with, and I love her too, is Nikki D. I love her because she's real.
Yes, she is.
She's a personal trainer, so I was going to the gym. She was trying to kill me. So, no, but she's good people too.
Nikki is good, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing different people, and thank God so far, all of them have been really down to earth, and you as well, and like I said, it was a long time coming for us to get together, but but it was worth the wait. Absolutely was worth the wait. Before we go, what's your thoughts on? Do you even listen to hip hop anymore?
Well, actually, I just go on the internet sometimes.
Okay.
And I get to hear like the snippets of the artists. It's a lot of females out there. Some of them are really, really good. I don't know anybody's name.
Mm-hmm.
My kids, they listen to different genres of hip hop. So my daughter's like, Ma, these genres. And I was like, well, there wasn't genres when I was coming up. Right?
He was just out there, right?
So what she listens to, I don't really understand that much. But my son, he listens to stuff that, I can relate to a little bit more. But one thing I am going to say before we end the interview is our responsibility in regards to hip hop.
Okay.
Because I don't like old school, new school, and all this other nonsense. I feel that there's a bridge that puts us together. And the bridge is called respect. Right?
Right.
Everybody who's an artist has a right to express themselves the way that they want to. And the person who doesn't like it has a right to not listen to it. Right?
There you go. Right. Okay. Absolutely.
But to tell somebody that what they're doing is fake and this is real, and that's not real, it's not good. We sow division. Why is it that in a lot of other, areas of music, people are respected, right? And these young kids have no respect. First of all, we didn't even transfer the knowledge of hip hop, the history of hip hop. And I'm guilty of it myself. I remember my son and his friend. We were driving in the car. He smacked me in my face with the truth. And Eminem was on the radio. And they was talking about, Eminem's the GOAT. And I was like, huh? I was like, what about Big Daddy Kane? What about Rakim? What about, I'm saying all these names.
Right.
My son's like, well, who's that? I don't know them. I said, you don't know them? He says, Mommy, you never taught me. Whose fault is it?
Got to teach him.
Exactly.
I have a son who's
and like I said, it's teaching, and then there's respect.
Right.
It's those two things. Teaching us the history, teaching our youth the history, and respecting what they do, and then respecting what we do.
Yeah.
And it's an appreciation instead of a separation.
Yeah.
And that to me is extremely important. Extremely.
Yeah. Make sure that they understand. I think a lot of times if you understand where things come from, like my son, he listens to a lot of stuff that like this newer stuff that I might go, I'm not into it, but there's some new stuff I might go, I do like this.
Yes.
I kind of stay up on stuff. But a great moment was after he graduated from high school. He's a second year of college now. We took him to see Nas in Albany. And Nas is one of his favorite MCs.
Okay.
And even though he listens to other stuff, you will listen to his playlist and he's playing everything. He loves the Dirty 30 album. And I told him, I said, I know that one guy, Yogi. He's like, really? He listens to that, but he turns around and he's listening to J. Cole, or he's turning around listening to Kendrick Lamar, or he's listening to NLE Choppa or somebody like that. But when he went to that Nas concert, to see him up there rapping it and knowing all the words to the different Nas songs was crazy, because most of the audience was about my age.
Right.
But you saw some younger ones spattered in there. And then so it's just like, it can happen if you allow the people to hear it.
Right.
And I think what has happened is they kind of have taken the music and said, okay, this is what you're going to listen to, instead of here's everything and you pick what you want to listen to, the way it used to be.
Right.
If you remember at the parties, they just played whatever was the new songs. They just played the joints.
Right.
And then it was like the crowd wasn't feeling it because they didn't play it no more. You let the crowd decide if they want to hear it, but do that respect those came before. And just like a movie, there's some movies I think they're absolutely vile. And I'm like, who put the budget up for this? But guess what? I don't have to watch it.
Right. Exactly.
I just won't pay to see it and I won't watch it. And I think the same should be for the music.
Right. I mean, it's like I said, you some things you'll like what the artist is promoting, and others you just won't. Because I mean, even back in the day for us, it was the same thing. I saw hip hop go from, rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. So what I'm not even gonna say.
Right.
When it came, like, it was very derogatory towards women, and it switched completely.
look at you even. Okay, you're from the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at the Bronx, birthplace of hip hop, right? And at a time when there was so much diversity in the music itself, as far as different types, you're from the Bronx. Listen to how you were rhyming, right?
Right.
You had ultramagnetic MCs over here. They didn't sound like what you were doing, right?
Right.
Boogie Down Productions didn't sound like ultramagnetic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's just the Bronx we're talking about here. You know, we're just going Bronx, and I obviously haven't mentioned other people. Jackie Fresh didn't sound like BDP. You know what I mean? So this is the
Right.
Bronx, right? And then you can go to just different boroughs. There was a lot, and you could go on a show. I remember going to a show and seeing, and I think it was, no, not NW, it was Eric B. Rakim, Kid and Play, Public Enemy, and somebody else. And it's like Heavy D and the boys used to be on tours with people, and it's like nowadays they wouldn't put these groups together. But then it was just like you liked all of them. And that's how I kind of, you know, you don't have that anymore. You should be able to have a mixture of it because it's the hip hop that you're there for and the music and the culture, not so much, oh, well, it's got to be all a gangster rap thing, or it's all got to be this, or it's got to be that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But I think that stuff was promoted for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You realize, you know, music is a ministry. It influences a generation. It changes a generation. But one thing I know, when they kept saying, you know, hip hop was a fad, and they were like, nope, it's a way of life. Hip hop is here to stay. Right. And hip hop has brought a lot of people together from different nationalities. Hip hop.
Sure has. People who normally wouldn't come together.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right on that. Absolutely right on that. You know what, Antionette, I want to say thank you so much for the interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for taking the time out. I mean, I know you came right in and you jumped right to it, and I wouldn't have blamed you if you said, "Hey, let's reschedule," but you didn't. So that's just one of those things. You know what I want to do here? I want to actually just kind of give you blessings to say, I hope the rest of everything that goes on in your life is as good as what's going on for you right now.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You persevered and you did your thing, and you are an inspiration, and keep teaching those. I'm gonna give you a little thing of applause right here too.
Thank you.
Do that for you. Give you a little applause for coming on the Big East Blackout. Any last words before we go?
No, I have nothing else. I probably was talking too much anyway. I usually
Excellent. It was in depth, and I enjoyed it. I really did. So I thank you again. Wish you nothing but greatness and a great time. You can keep in contact, say hello anytime.
Absolutely.
And we'll stay in contact. But I thank you very much for your time this evening and for being a guest on Big East Blackout.
All right. You're welcome.
All righty. Antionette, thank you again.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.